morning from Porto.
Okay, before we get on with the main content of our video today, then some more observant viewers among you as we go through today's video will notice that there is something new and shiny on Rachel's left hand. That is because yesterday I took her to a beautiful set of gardens here in Porto and I finally popped the question after 4 years.
So now this is my fiance.
And this is my fiance. Check out that, it's huge. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you like it, do put a ring on it. It's worth it.
So now we're going to get into the promised content from last week's video. We are going to give you a tour of our Airbnb here in Porto.
Okay, before we properly show you around, then there's a couple of things that we just want you to notice. It may be a bit more lived in than our previous room tours. This is because we were just exhausted from yesterday's early flight. So if it looks a little less put together, then that's our fault. The other thing to note though is that this accommodation is 48 euros a night. For any US viewers wondering what that means, euros and US dollars right now are about the same exchange rate. So think 48 US dollars as well.
And I'll just add for our Canadian viewers that it cost $289 for 4 nights. I don't know what that is per night, sorry. Do the math, please.
I'll definitely have put that on the screen. Okay, so we make a start. So here we have like a little breakfast table complete with some cutlery and crockery, so that's always good, and the Wi-Fi password's right there, really helpful. And then over here we have what ended up being quite a comfortable bed. Like we actually had a really good night's sleep here, save for the noisy neighbours above us, but you know, there's not much you can do about that. So you have a little kitchenette, so you got 2-burner stove here, microwave, and then you got your fridge in here as well. So you basically do have more or less all of your basic amenities and everything else. You've even got some free coffee that they provide you, which is great for us. As you all well know, we are coffee fiends. Pretty much everything you would need while not going overboard with the frills. So we now take you through to the bathroom here. And it is pretty modest, but it definitely has all of your basic amenities. So you got your toilet off there, with a little extra mirror above that. You then have your towel rail, your sink, and also your mirror. And then off to the right, then you have a full shower cubicle as well. So again, modest, no crazy more cons, but everything you still need. But then, where you really get the value out of this is through here. Let me just try and remember how to, oh, there you go. This is our own private balcony. And through here, you get these amazing views.
They really are pretty spectacular.
And that alone makes this worth it. And that's our place.
Now that Nick's given you a room tour, I am feeling pretty hungry, and I think he is too, so we are going to grab some breakfast, fuel up for our day, because as we mentioned in last week's video, we are doing our favorite thing to do in a new city today. We will be going on a walking tour, so we need to have energy.
Okay, so you're probably wondering why here. Now, when I was doing research on coming here, one of the main things to have in Portugal is called a Pastel de Nata, which is basically like an egg custard tart, and it is always great. So when I was having a look, I wanted to see which were the best places to go and try these, and this is always #1 in everybody's list, so I'm really excited for this to go.
So this is the Pastel de Nata. It looks good, it smells good, it feels good, so here we go. The pastry is crispy and flaky, and the the inside is this perfect light and fresh custard, and it's not too thick and clumpy. It's just the perfect custard consistency. So, good job to you on the research about coming here.
You're welcome. This is Jardim do Cordoaria. And over there is the meeting point for our walking tour. So let's go.
Porto is the second largest city in Portugal with a population of just over 245,000 people. The city, which was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1996, is located on the country's northwestern Atlantic coast.
Porto's history dates back to the 8th century BC, when Celtic and Phoenician tribes established settlements in the area before being conquered by the Romans in the 2nd century BC. It is believed that the city's Latin name, Port-ential, is the root of the country's name, Portugal. The city was also key in Christian expansion in Europe. While it fell under Moorish control for a few decades in the 8th century AD, it was swiftly reclaimed by Christians.
The county of Portugal, established in Porto in the 9th century AD, was the predecessor to the Kingdom of Portugal, which was established 3 centuries later in 1139. The construction of Porto's shipyards in the 14th and 15th century made the city a key factor in the country's age of discovery, allowing the Kingdom of Portugal to become a major colonial power, with an empire spanning 4 continents. The city has since been the birthplace of Portugal's liberal revolution during the 19th century, as well as the site of the first Republican uprising, which eventually led to the fall of the country's monarchy and the establishment of the Portuguese Republic in the early 20th century.
Due to its celebration of this history and maintenance of its cultural heritage, the modern city of Porto is a destination that is growing in popularity, particularly among Europeans looking to enjoy a more relaxed city break.
Tour with Andre. It was 3 hours long, but it did not feel that long because he was so animated and he explained Portugal's very complex history in such a animated way. He is a real storyteller, and it was just so fascinating to me to hear basically how Portugal had history happen to them, almost like history was happening in Europe and that just influenced what happened here.
Yeah, it was absolutely fascinating. I had absolutely no idea about Portuguese history whatsoever, so not just getting an introduction to that, but getting an introduction to it by him was just the perfect way to start us off. But now we are quite hungry. It is about 1:30 now, so we're going to try and sort ourselves out with some lunch. So I had plans to go to one particular place which was doing one type of local speciality. I then had another plan to then take us to a different place that did a different type of speciality. And both of them are closed because it's a Sunday. So instead we've come here where we've managed to get some cheap and cheerful sandwiches for €2 each. So we have this one which has bacalhau, which is cod, and this one which has a delicious looking ham. So we're going to have that, and then we're going to move on with the rest of our afternoon plans.
Right behind us, you can't really see it because Nick is blocking them, there is a crowd of people in front of Lello Library, and we did pass by there on our walking tour. it is our next stop because it is apparently very Harry Potter reminiscent, and I believe it has been touted as the world's nicest bookstore.
So it's better to get tickets online because actually you are only allowed in during a 15-minute time slot that you have to get prearranged. But actually it's relatively easy to get tickets. To get the minimum ticket, then it's 10 euros per person. But the good news is that's not just 10 euros that you're throwing down the drain. What that ends up being is actually a voucher so that you can then put that towards the cost of a book if you purchase one from the bookstore. Should we go in?
Let's do it.
Yay. That was Livraria Lello, and honest thoughts, it was absolutely gorgeous inside, and certainly there's a whole range of books in a whole range of different languages, all of which look extremely pretty, and they've actually got their own editions of certain classics. I think it's just unfortunate that basically none of the ones that they had as their own editions were actually books that I consider to be among my favourites, but for anybody else who would be a major bookworm, then I'm sure that they would go nuts in that.
Yeah, I think it would be a really good souvenir if you have a favorite book to get one of their own editions. But while I like books and I like reading, I'm not an absolute bookworm. It was pretty. Do I think it was worth 10 euros per person? I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe not that. And apparently there are other bookstores in this city that give you kind of the same experience but don't charge you just to go in. It was still an experience and I'm glad we did it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a part of the day now where we don't really have any plans, so we're just going to go back and chill for a little bit before going out to dinner.
So we came back to our Airbnb for about 3 hours and we had intended to rest. However, somehow I may have gotten carried away writing Instagram captions and editing photos and uploading a TikTok. So I'm not sure how restful it was. In fact, I got a little bit stressed about writing about the history of Porto because it's so complex. But anyway, we are now very hungry, and our tour guide Andre recommended a restaurant where we can try a traditional, I would say Portuguese, but I think it's a specialty of Porto dish. So that's what we're gonna do now. Of olives and capers. They are incredible. So fresh. I've never seen a caper this big. And the olives just taste so different than back home. You can tell they're grown locally. And then we have, I think it's like a sourdough from what was described. The bread is delicious. And this is, I think, a ham butter. I've gone for a glass of red wine, and Nick has a beer here. And we've just placed our food order, so we can't wait to share it with you.
So by now you should probably know how we operate, and typically we really want to go for trying as much local food as we possibly can. So this one is a speciality of the city of Porto, not just Portugal. So this is what is called a Francesinha. Essentially it came about because a Portuguese person lived in France for a little bit, really enjoyed a croque madame and wanted to bring it back with him when he then moved back to Portugal. But basically what he ended up doing was taking a croque madame recipe and throwing a bunch of extra stuff in there. So this is basically a sandwich with a bunch of different meats, including steak, bread on the top, and then on top of that there's a beer and cheese sauce that drapes over the top of it, and then on top of that as an extra then you can also have a fried egg. And so that is what we're going to enjoy. We're going to have that with some fries, and I can't wait because this smells absolutely amazing. That is amazing. Absolutely incredible. You can taste like literally every single ingredient because the quality is so good that the flavour just comes through. So I'm getting a little bit of steak, I'm getting like a lot of the flavour of the cheese, and then some ham, a bit of bacon in there, maybe a bit of sausage meat as well. And then the sauce just really complements the whole thing. Honestly, we are in for a treat.
As you can see, we have completely cleared our plates. That was incredible, and you know what I appreciate? I'm not even going to try and describe the flavor because Nick did an incredible job of that. It was so good. This is obviously a very rich food. As Andre put it, a heart attack waiting to happen. But the great thing about this is that, unlike in North America, they didn't give us a huge portion. So it is very rich, but you don't feel like you've overdone it. And for that, I'm grateful. There's no doubt in my mind that if you come to Porto, you have to try this. It's amazing.
And now we are back, and it is absolutely nuts to think that this was only our first full day here in Porto. And I don't know about you, but I absolutely love this place.
Yeah, I can't believe we've only been here for a day and a half because I feel like we've crammed so much in. So I kind of can't wait for the next 2 full days because actually that's more time than we've already spent here.
Absolutely, cannot wait, but everything that we have done up to now has been awesome. So that really only bodes well for what we have lined up next. And with that, we will bring you along to the next part of this adventure. But until next time, take care.
And keep smiling.